Hello guys, how you doing? You okay? Thank you to everyone that joined in with the virtual open circle last night. That was wonderful. So many people joined in and commented and asked questions, and it was something of a community happening through the phone. It was great. It's amazing what you can do with your mobile phone these days, isn't it? Who would have thought it? Yeah, I was well, I'm at the moment, I'm in a car park in Church Stoke, just about to get some supplies. And driving down here, it's a beautiful run. I might try and do a little video going back because it's so beautiful. The sky's just, there's not a cloud in the sky. And as I was gazing up at the sky, intermittently, during driving, I wasn't just looking at the sky whilst I was driving. That would be very dangerous. What came into my head, what popped into my head, was something that I haven't thought about for a really long time, but it just seems to be poignant at this moment. So I just wanted to share it with you. Isaac Asimov, a very prolific writer. He wrote and edited over 500 books in his lifetime. Incredible. I read a lot of Asimov when I was younger, and I'm possibly getting some of the titles mixed up now, because you know when you've just read a lot on one subject and you start to fuse those storylines together in your head. I mean, it was a long time. I was probably about 16, but I think it was the book that he entitled The Naked Sun, or it could have been Galactic Empires, but there's a passage that really stood out at the time for some reason, but oddly it came back to me just a few moments ago as I was driving and looking up at the blue sky. And it's this this whole explanation. It's set in the distant future, and the children of this whole generation have known nothing but being indoors. They were grown in a lab, and they lived out their lives always with four walls around them and a ceiling. And even though the complex that they lived in was very, very vast, very large, there was no windows, and they just lived their lives. They wasn't particularly upset about it because they didn't know any different, and they just accepted it. But that's kind of what we do, isn't it? We accept the nature of the reality we're presented with. How can we do anything else, really? Until we start to have some sort of higher awareness, we accept the nature of the reality we're presented with. And as these children grow up, they just live out their lives doing the things that they're instructed to do. But then one day they're liberated from this this complex of an endless ceiling, and they've always had a ceiling over their heads, always. They've not even questioned it. And when they're outside for the first time, they look up into the blue sky, and their eyes can't actually focus on that kind of distance, and their minds can't comprehend it, and they're just absolutely full of fear. There's reports in the story of these children that are now middle-aged just screaming at the sky, just in absolute terror. And it takes many months and sometimes years for some of the characters in the story to come to terms with not having a ceiling over their heads. Now, I know it's not the same thing, but we're kind of cooped up a bit, aren't we? And even for just a few days, like we've been, you go outside and you look up, and there's just this space, and it's just so essential to our well-being. It's so essential to our emotional and mental and physical well-being to be outdoors. So I guess this was coming through to me because it's important for us to, in these difficult times, to I suppose there's a tendency to want to shut ourselves away, and that's the right thing to do, and we've been instructed to do that, and that's the correct thing to do. But we've all also been told that we should get outside and exercise at least once a day, and it is really important to do that. It's important to get outside and to exercise and to have that sense of space as well. I think without that it would be quite feasible that we would go quite crazy. We need that space. We need to be outdoors, if only once a day, briefly. I suppose that's what I wanted to say, really. The science fiction reference came through there. So yeah, get yourself outdoors. Remember to do that, and get your exercise. You know, even if it's just for half an hour. Just try and find a place that is green, a place that's close to nature, and obviously keep your distance from people, and just go for a little walk, just for half an hour or an hour. It makes you feel so much better. Yeah, it does. Well, I hope you're getting on okay, and we'll have to do another virtual, actually we'll do a development circle in a few weeks' time, and we'll do it the same way as we did the open circle last night. We'll do a development circle, and we'll do something exciting, and we'll all join in together. One way or another, we can do it, can't we? Through technology. It's actually the one time where technology is doing some good and keeping people together.
We have Vincent.
Yeah, we have.